very warm welcome to my live, to my world, to my space. So before we get started, I'd just like to very quickly introduce myself to you, to those of you who don't know me especially. So I'm Sarah. I'm British by birth, French by soul calling, which means that I do my work in both English and French. And one of the things that I absolutely love doing is helping people with their emotional states. And when I say that, what I mean is I help people to really understand their emotions, where they are coming from. And I do this using the tool of EFT, Emotional Freedom Technique, or tapping. I came across tapping about 5-6 years ago now, when I was looking for something to add to my coaching toolbox. And it was absolutely wonderful for me, because I realized that I had been holding on to so much guilt and shame around an abortion that I had when I was just 17. So I trained to become an EFT practitioner, and this is one of the tools that I dearly love, and that for me really helps us to connect to what's going on with our emotional states. So before we get started, I just want to show you that I have lit a beautiful white candle for us. It's here in, hopefully you can see, a heart-shaped red bowl. There we are. Let me just present that to you without the wax dripping everywhere. So I have set this space for us to come together and to be able to really tap into joy. Now, why is it tapping into joy? This is the title that I heard when I was journaling a couple of weeks ago, when I wasn't sure of what I would be actually sharing with you today. And journaling is one of the things that I use in my everyday life too. And it came into me, you need to tap into joy. So we are going to do this through obviously EFT, but also grounding and connecting to our heart, because for me those three together are really a wonderful, wonderful combination. So let's get started. The way I have done this is to look at the emotional scale, which you may or may not be familiar with. I found this in the book Ask and It Is Given by Esther and Jerry Hicks, but you can find it elsewhere as well, in different books and on the internet. And basically the emotional scale is a scale of over 20 emotions that we can feel. The bottom of the scale is where we have despair, fear, depression, victimhood, and the feeling of not having any power, of being powerless. And then at the very top of the scale, we have knowledge, freedom, love, joy, and empowerment. So the idea of using this emotional scale is to be able to move up the scale as high as possible. And we can do this through various techniques. In the book, there is a wonderful quote that I want to share with you, all about receiving and the flow and just letting life flow in and through us. So I'm going to share that with you before we get started with our tapping sequence. The stream of well-being is flowing towards you at all times. Unless you're offering resistance of some kind, you're the full receiver of it. Your emotions help you understand to what extent you're allowing or resisting the stream. Now, when I read this, I absolutely loved it, because it really is a case of this for me. It's a case of allowing or resisting. And what we resist persists, doesn't it? So the idea of this is to really understand where we are on the emotional scale, and the higher up the emotional scale we find ourselves on a particular day or in a particular situation, means that we are allowing the flow, the stream of life and well-being towards us. So just a little bit of information about tapping if you are new to this. It was created in the early 90s by somebody called Gary Craig, and the idea is that we are going to tap on certain meridian points in our body to release any unhelpful emotions that have stagnated in those particular places. So the idea behind tapping or EFT is that whenever we experience a traumatic event, and it can be just one event or it can be something that is repeated over time, our body will register it somewhere, together with the emotions that we feel at that particular time. Now, the majority of us are probably extremely resilient, so we often just tend to get on with life and maybe push these emotions down or just to one side. This is until life will come and remind us of this particular traumatic event, either through the form of a limiting belief, a lack of self-esteem, a lack of self-confidence, or a lack of self-love, for example. So when this happens, this is a really good indicator that we have pushed down the emotions or the feelings that we had felt during a past event. So the process of tapping on these certain meridian points will send signals to the brain to help it regulate any physical and emotional reactions that will affect our health and our well-being. And the physical stimulation of these points is thought to create these electrical and chemical signals that we can use to balance the sympathetic and the parasympathetic nervous systems. This works wonders on things like depression, anxiety and stress, and the success rate, if you want to call it that, of using EFT is at least 50% improvement when you use EFT for this type of issues that you may be feeling. So how we actually use EFT is, first of all, to recognize the problem, to create what we call a reminder phrase which will summarize our problem. Then we will rate it on a scale of 0 to 10. So when we do that, it's the intensity that we feel in our body when we reconnect to the problem. So 0, obviously we feel nothing, everything is fine, and 10, it is extremely intense and maybe even uncomfortable for us. Once we've rated that problem, we will then set up what we call a self-affirming statement, which I will share with you in a minute. Then we will perform the tapping sequence. And at the end of the tapping sequence, we will check in again with ourselves and re-rate the problem again on that scale of 0 to 10. Now, the idea is for us to reach a place where we will either say it's 0, 1 or 2, 2 being the maximum that we can actually then just move on with the rest of our day. If the rating is still above 2, then we will need to repeat the tapping sequence so that we can actually lower that rate until, as I said, it gets to a 0, a 1 or a 2. So before we start this tapping sequence, I'd just like you to pop in the comments how joyful you currently feel. So don't overthink this. On a scale of 0 to 10, how joyful do you currently feel? Now, how I have created this tapping sequence is to use all of the emotions on the emotional scale, because obviously we are in a group setting. I don't know any of the problems that you have, and so this is a really generic tapping sequence. Obviously, if you were working with me in a more intimate setting, especially if we were just the two of us together, then I would take a lot of time to talk to you about the issue, the problem that you currently have, tapping into those emotions, seeing where they are in your body, and then creating the tapping sequence especially for you. So as I said, this is a generic one, but hopefully it's going to help you anyway. So if you're ready, we will begin. Now, what you need to do is just to copy me, to repeat everything I say. So when I say copy me, I'm going to be tapping on the meridian points, so you will do exactly what I do. And as I said, repeat exactly what I say. So let's go. So you begin with one of your hands upright like this, and the other hand will come and tap on the side of the hand. Even if I feel powerless right now, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. Then we come to the top of our head. This feeling may come from fear or despair. Then you come to your eyebrow. It may also come from feeling insecure or unworthy. The side of your eye, which could be caused by jealousy. Under your eye. This feeling may also stem from rage, revenge, or anger. under your nose, unless it's more a case of blame or discouragement. Your chin. Doubt and worry also have a part to play in this feeling. Then your hand comes flat on your collarbone, as do overwhelmment and disappointment. Then under our breasts. When I'm overwhelmed, I can often remember, and under your arm, moments when I felt frustrated or impatient. Top of your head. No matter what the feeling, I can be sure that it stemmed from a pessimistic thought. I know that I have the ability to change my thoughts, to move from boredom to contentment, and from contentment to hopefulness. I can already feel that my thoughts are becoming more optimistic. And that my expectations are also more positive. I'm starting to feel enthusiastic again. My eagerness and happiness are returning. When I feel this eager happiness, my passion is ignited. My passion for life. My passion for my work or business. Which in turn brings me a feeling of love. Of deep appreciation for who I am. I feel free to bring my knowledge to the world. I feel empowered. I feel joyful. I can marvel at the beauty on earth. Both within and outside of me. And then to finish, we're going to tap on our fingers. So you take your index finger on your opposite thumb. I am joy. Then you tap on your index. I am joy. On your middle finger, I am joy. And on your little finger, I am joy. Okay. So I'd like you to immediately type in the comments now how joyful you're feeling after that tapping sequence to see if it has shifted. So what we're going to do now to really anchor in this feeling of joy is to ground ourselves and connect to our heart. So wherever you are, I invite you just to make sure, if possible, that your 2 feet are on the floor, and we will just get grounded. So 2 feet on the floor, we'll just close our eyes very quickly. Take a couple of deep breaths in and out. to get nice and grounded, to feel that we have these roots growing beneath our feet that are connecting us to the earth right now. And then I'm going to invite you to envisage your brain, your physical brain, that is slowly, slowly descending from your head space down through your head, through your throat, and it will come and settle into your heart space. If you like, you can place both hands onto your heart space. I prefer doing this because it really increases the connection I have with my heart. And once you've got to the heart space, still with your eyes closed, you take a couple of deep breaths in and out through your heart space. And now you are going to ask your heart to tell you what you can do to feel joyful, and just trust the first thing that comes to you. Your heart always knows, and connecting to our heart is also a way to connect us to our soul. As Rebecca Campbell says in her book, Light is the New Black, we don't discover our soul calling, we uncover it by following the trail of things that light us up and then lose ourselves in the doing. Don't feel like you can only do one thing. Give your multidimensional soul what it craves and do them all. So what I have created is a free workbook for you, and I'll pop the links below afterwards. It's a free workbook with 7 journaling prompts to help you bring in the new year 2024. It's called Honouring the Knowings of Your Soul because it's based on the chapter that I wrote in a multi-author book this year. The book is called Co-Creating with the Divine, and as I said, the title of my chapter in that book is Honouring the Knowings of Your Soul. Because your soul knows, your heart knows. I believe that your heart, our hearts, are the gateway to our soul. And so once we have made that connection, we are able to honour what our soul knows deep down. Thank you so much for joining me in this Tapping into Joy sequence. I really hope that it has helped you to feel more joyful today. I really hope that your heart has given you the guidance that you need to bring more joy into your life. Please comment below about how you felt, anything that has come up for you. As I said, I will be popping in the link to the journaling workbook for you to upload whenever you want to. I would highly recommend you do this before New Year if possible, so that you can take the time to sit with your favourite cup of tea or coffee or whatever you love to drink while you journal. And I'll also be popping in the link to different ways that you can connect with me. You can find me on Facebook, on LinkedIn. I have my own YouTube channel where I have created a lot of content around meditation, visualization, EFT, and some coaching guidance. I also have a radio show called Wellbeing Wednesday, which is broadcast every Wednesday on Yawa Radio. So you'll also find the link to that in the main link that I will be sharing with you below. Thank you so much for joining me today. I wish you a beautiful, blessed day full of joy, full of love, full of happiness.